In this series, we're exploring career changes, and we wanted to address an aspect that is often overlooked that was extremely important, and this is the impact a career change can have on your partner as well. It isn't easy for you, but it can also be equally distressing for your partner, especially if not handled in the right way. And just as scary as it can be for you, it can be equally or more scary for your partner. So here's what we've learned from our own experience on how best to deal with a career change.
The very first and probably most important step is to have these discussions with your partner and involve her as early as possible. You may have in your idea what it is for you, what you want to do for your career change, but those ideas may be completely different to what she may be expecting or thinking. And this can be based off entirely from different personalities, different upbringings, different risk profiles, and that's okay to have these different opinions, but it's important to involve your partner from an early stage so you can have an open dialogue about it.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me, when you first raised the topic that you might want to have a career change, for me it was quite daunting and quite scary. But that's really because I'm somebody who's probably very much more risk averse, more inclination towards a stable job and the benefits that come with that. So for me, it was being able to have the conversation with you. I think was really important.
Yeah, for me, I was coming from a very stressful office environment, which paid well, but certainly was not the work-life balance that I wanted. So when it came to my inflection point of finding something that I was more happy with, I had very different ideas of what that would look like, what kind of career that would be, how long it would take, and it came out very unexpectedly just how different we viewed this whole thing. And quite honestly, there was a lot of discomfort that she had from her end, which it was my job to make sure she was comfortable with.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the biggest things I think through our discussions that we spent a bit of time on is trying between the two of us to agree on certain things as part of this possible career change. So for example, that might be agreeing on timelines, and that might be agreeing on, we're not saying that we should quit your job and just jump into a new thing, but it might be something that is a transitional period for you. So agreeing that, over the next 6 months, over the next year, it might be something that you're spending your free time on, you're building up your skills if need be, maybe you even retraining if need be. But agreeing timelines and expectations in that regard, I think is really important. Probably for most people, it's also a financial conversation, so agreeing expectations in terms of financial support. Is this going to be funded by savings or funded by the other person's income? Making sure that you're both on the same page as part of that conversation, I think for us was really important.
That's a really big part of it because it comes up unexpectedly. We can see that there's a lot of different scenarios here for a lot of different people, but if it does come down to a financial discussion, obviously it's very important for you to have this discussion together. You can't just go into it thinking, right, I can just dip into my savings if this is a situation where I can't make income off of it. Or necessarily just rely on your partner and assume that's okay without talking to her first. And these things all come up when you start to plan out what your career change might look like. It's not necessarily about convincing your partner, but it's more about, I guess, the other C word, compromising.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to say that. It's the compromise.
Yeah.
And it's someone who, for someone who wasn't making a decision, I may have had my own plans or expectations, and it's sort of having an ability to revisit or reevaluate what our plans are and what our expectations are. I think it's really important.
Your idea of what you think is a career change may not be what is suitable for her in her mind. I mean, that's totally fine, and she does actually get a say in that. I'm just going to throw this out there, no offense to all those future skydivers out there, but if that is your intention to be a career change, that's fine, but let's make sure that she's okay with that, and she's okay with, first of all, the income that's going to bring in, and also the risk profile. Throwing yourself out of a plane every day may not be her idea of comfort zone. So no offense to any of the skydivers out there, obviously, I'm just saying this as an example, but you can obviously apply that to many different other scenarios. What is the career change that works for you and what works for her? So you may have in your head that you want to pursue a particular hobby or interest or passion of yours, which is, I think for the most part, a lot of people would tend to gravitate towards something like that. But ask yourself and be honest, is this something that you think will be a viable career opportunity for you and your family and your partner?
Building on from that last point there is, I think, spending the time to really do the research about the viability of your potential career change. So we talked about perhaps it might require a retrain. So understanding what is the feasibility of that retrain. Is it something that's going to take several years? Is it something that's going to be even possible given the experience that you have in your career to date? What is the cost of that retrain? I mean, I think to say, retraining as a doctor or something, we were all aware that takes time and money to do that. So doing the research on what your retrain is important, and building that into the conversation.
Yeah, and it's also the quality of your research as well. So, you might find online that someone says it takes you, 2 to 3 years to retrain as a plumber. But you might also find some other source who says that you can do these online courses and be a plumber in 6 months. I would say, obviously, do the research and see which one's the more practical approach. You may find some sources that say one thing and another, but try to find the right kind of research.
Yeah, definitely.
The concept of support is one of those things that on paper sounds really nice, but this is one of those perfect situations where it's tried and tested and you get to see what that actually means for each other. She's listed a bunch of different things that where support is actually played a key part in. So it's financial, it's emotional, it's propping up the other person when they do say, I need to find something else with my career. All these things come up as little surprises. You may find that you weren't necessarily so certain about what it would look like, but it's really reassuring and positive when you have those discussions with your partner and they start to say wonderful things that are very supportive in terms of finance and emotion as well. And because it takes time, one of the most important things that you can do with your partner is to set a plan, have periodic discussions to revisit the plan, but stay the course. I think that's really important, especially when there's a lot of stuff going on in your life or there's a lot of stuff going out in this crazy world. Because it's such a uncertain time for you and your career and for your partner, that's why it's most important to really shore up the cause and stay the course. So I would say, if it means a retrain for you, go on those courses, do it for a matter of 6 months. Constantly talk to your partner about the retrain. But during that time, it's very important to just stay to the plan and keep doing it, and just keep doing it.
Yeah, and I think you'll probably admit this is, for me, one of the hardest things. I think probably it's fair to say that I maybe flip-flop a little bit, or I find it hard to, especially when a plan is difficult or time-consuming for me. Sometimes it's easier to take the more certain or the more easier route sometimes. So that's kind of, I think, been one of our challenges. Is for me, it's been a balance of trying to make a plan, stick with it, and follow it through, versus sort of giving up and taking something that might be easier but not really what you're looking for at this point in your career.
Well, I think it comes down to that difference in personalities. Again, when you have your partner, you're two completely different people, and it's totally fine for her to say what she just said. It's coming from her risk averseness, her personality, the way she's been brought up. So she'll have a completely different feeling about your plans and your retrain. So when you are going through 6 weeks, 6 months down the road of doing this course, she's saying it's more of a flip-flop, but that's actually just based off of her own upbringing and her own whatever makes her who she is. So it's important to have a very positive conversation and positive outlook when she's experiencing those feelings.
Yeah, it definitely has helped with the concerns I think that we've both felt from this process.
We hope that you found this video on career changes helpful. If you're going through something similar yourself, or you have some thoughts that you have with your partner, please do feel free to share with us in the comments. We're very happy to talk to you about this.
Yeah, it's definitely a work in progress and something that we're still going through right now. So yeah, we really hope that you found this helpful, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe for more videos. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Issues that have come up from this whole topic, that it would be, oh no.
I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. I'm sorry. It's because I'm dehydrated. You have to go. You have to go.
God. That's going in the outtakes.
No. No.